Ladies and gentlemen, Mindspeak with Ali and Satch.
Thank you so much. It's really a pleasure to be here today and to be with this extraordinary ecosystem of IntelliCap, of Avishkar VC, and every other sort of associated part of this ecosystem. I couldn't, when the folks from IntelliCap first came to see me, you know, normally people come in the office, sometimes they don't really have an agenda, they just come, or you're saying, well, what's the point? What, you know, you want to say, what's the point, what's the point? And what was amazing was the point was there, the agenda was set, and I was really impressed from that moment, and it's great to be here today. For a long time, you know, I too had sort of looked at this whole ecosystem. I've been thinking, how do I play a role in it? And I'd spent a lot of time looking at it. And when I saw what IntelliCap was doing, I think the gap is wide and you guys are filling it. I really do. And I'm not saying that just because I'm here today. So first of all, congratulations, because I think there's lots of innovation around this region. It just needs to be corralled, directed, and sent forward. And I think, and I'm really glad to see you guys making such a great crack at getting there. Let me introduce to you my guest today. Nisha Dutt is the CEO of IntelliCap, or IntelliCap Advisory Services Private Limited, serves on its board of directors, responsible for driving IntelliCap's growth globally, and leads the business consulting practice. At IntelliCap, she has led technology-led innovations in healthcare, agricultural financial services, which have impacted the lives of people at the bottom of the economic pyramid. She continues to play a key role in strategic decision-making across IntelliCap Group companies. Her career spans across 15 years of experience in strategy and operations in national and multinational corporates. She also serves on the board of directors of several listed companies in India. She holds an MBA from the University of Ohio, a Master of Science in Industrial Engineering, Supply Chain Management from Oklahoma State University, USA. Now, a couple of things that I learned earlier. Nisha is a pilot. She flies a Cessna. She was talking to me about what is happening here, and she used my favorite word, which is serendipity. And she said, we're looking to create serendipity. And I said, well, what are the secret ingredients to, you know, entrepreneurship and being successful? And she said, serendipity. She said, passion. You know, somebody comes in your office and I've got a good idea. Looking around, you know, you're not really going to get that feeling. I agree with you completely. And then what really struck me, the third comment before I come off this podium, was that Nisha said to me, Ali Khan, it's not really the idea, it's the individual. Because the idea will change 10 times before it reaches fruition. But it is, I need to see that the individual has the, I think you were talking about stamina, staying, but I'm not just going to take my money and then next week say, you know, I prefer to be on a desert island somewhere, and I'm off, and probably send you a text, Nisha, about it, and off I go. So first of all, really a pleasure. Congratulations to you all for convening this amazing forum. I think you're really, you know, going to ignite the entrepreneurship class here, and I look forward to chatting a little bit with Nisha, and then I'll throw it open if anyone's got any burning questions about entrepreneurship, about how IntelliCap, Avishkar, etc. can all help you in terms of your businesses. So thank you very much. Pleasure, Nisha, to have you here.
Thank you.
Nisha, let's just start with yourself, if I may, a little bit. You said you were a consultant at Deloitte for many years in San Francisco. You know, that kind of career I remember Nassim Taleb saying, we live in a box, we go to work in a box, we eat from a box. You know, that was a clear career path set out for you that would have been very, very successful.
It was rewarding.
Rewarding. What flipped that sent you back to India?
I think somewhere there was a disconnect all the time. I mean, it was not that I wasn't doing well in my career. In fact, I think I was living the dream.
Yes.
I had a beautiful house. I had some amazing friends. I had the best networks. I made some money actually along the way. So, so I was living the life, but somewhere I thought that there was a disconnect, and I've always worried a little bit about my legacy. And I've always thought that, is this what I want to be looking back on when I'm 70, sitting somewhere? Is this what I want to look back at and say that I did 20 projects for many corporates? Or am I going to do something different with my life? So that existential question was in my mind, and that sort of prompted my move back to India. And then I actually moved with Deloitte back to India, but I quit in 2 weeks because I just couldn't put up with going to work, showing up and doing the same thing again. And I took a break. I started backpacking for 3 or 4 months. And then in telecom happened, it was absolute serendipity. I wasn't looking to change lives. I wasn't looking to work in development sector, none of those things. I just thought that I'm going to use my skills in a different context. That was the only thing I was looking for. And this has happened to me. And it was 7 years ago and I'm still here.
So you 2 weeks, you jack it in, you go backpacking in Europe.
Yes.
You come back to Telecom.
Yes, I come back to Telecom.
But now making that transfer from a consulting company that where your task is much you know what it is.
Quite
yes.
fun.
How did you adjust? I mean, was it a challenge or
Yes, I did adjust very well. So I almost sort of quitting every day. For the first 1 year, I was planning to quit every single day. I thought that I'm not cut out for this. Because I come from a structured environment. I think I was making too many shifts. I made the country shift, although India is my home country. I was a little bit spoiled when I was living in US. So to come back to India, I thought that I was almost switching the startup button again in my life. That I was not continuing on the career that I had built. I was doing a reset almost. So it was a struggle throughout. I think in the first year, I think I drove Vinny, who's the chairman of the company, crazy. I must have quit like 10 times. But then something, kept me going. I think the more I started going to field, the more I started looking at the problems on the field, I actually saw India like I'd never seen before. I went to all rural areas, I saw what was working, what wasn't working. And that's somewhere the connect happened. And I stayed. After that, I stayed. After that, everything became irrelevant. I thought that I have to do something about it, and I stayed.
And to describe to me, you're being sent off, you're going to deep rural areas, you're spending time with this bottom of the pyramid community. Describe to me what these communities are like. What is happening down there? Were you like a Martian landing from outer space in the community, or did you feel a part of it? How did it work?
For me, it was I connected with them immediately, and frankly, my perspective on how BOP lives is very different, because I have always found that I actually despite all the challenges that they have, I always I go back and I always tell my family and my husband that they are happier than we are.
Why?
I think because somewhere they have reconciled to the fact that look, I'm going to get maybe $1,000 a day, and I'm going to be but I have to find spots of happiness in my life. And I think people like us are constantly fighting that battle. What's next for me? What's my next goal? What's my next promotion? Where will my next money come from? There is too much fight, I think. As you grow, there is too much fight in your life. And I think somewhere those guys find ways to be happy, actually. It's not that their life is easy, but they definitely, I think, live it better than many of us do. Like I call this concept mental poverty. I feel that you are not actually, I have actually seen mental poverty a lot more in middle class and higher middle class and upper class. Because I feel that you have all the money, but you can't shake off the thing that you need to earn more money and more and more. The quest never stops. That's mental poverty. You never know where to quit, actually. So I think somewhere they are physically poor, we are mentally poor. It's just
wow. That. So now you're back. You're in these communities.
what did you see as the opportunity? I mean, now you've created this 7 years down the track. You're here in Kenya, 800 people here. But describe to us in those early stages, what sort of businesses did you find? How did you deal with these communities? How did you interface with them?
So our approach at Intellicap has always been that there are two ways to make a difference, right? I can either go and start serving the population myself. Let's say that if they don't have electricity, I get into the business of solar lanterns, or I start providing sanitation solutions. But I always thought that the impact of something like that is great. It's actually very deep but limited. And at Intellicap, we were going for wider actually. So we said that we are going to create a platform that gets thousands of entrepreneurs, we nurture them, and they serve communities in turn. So can we play the ecosystem building role instead of going and serving these communities ourselves? So that's how I processed really what I saw around me, because the enormity of challenge is so great that I can come up with business ideas and I can start doing it myself, but I really can't move the needle. The needle is going to be moved by the ecosystem once, and that's the role that was my biggest learning when I started going to field and started seeing the problems, because it's not that they have a problem of electricity, it's water, it's sanitation, it's mobility, and you name it. It's everywhere, right? So how many things am I going to solve? It's probably better if I can create an ecosystem that nurtures entrepreneurs that can solve all these problems. So that's a role pretty much we define for ourselves.
Creating that.
Creating that.
Yes.
Yes, I'm going to provide a platform.
Yeah. So here we have an example of you providing the platform.
Exactly.
And somebody said to me, but Adhikan, what are they getting out of it? Meaning that it seems as if you produced this platform and you said to people, meet each other. We don't need to be in every conversation. What informed that kind of thinking? Is the end product that there is innovation that you will become part of, or what's your thinking?
I think that if we insist that we have to be in every part of conversation, if we have to be a part of every conversation in ecosystem, it can't scale. So our idea is that anything, things are going to, like I said, we are going to move the needle when things work at scale. And for that, we said that we are going to make this platform partner-led. Let partners come and see value in it. If we insist on being everywhere, then we are never going to create value. I think the end game for us is that if we are able to build this ecosystem, if we are able to replicate, there's a business model for us ourselves, right? I mean, we are in the business of making money, and it's working for us so far. So I wouldn't say that the end goal is gratification. It's a lot of things, but it's also money. It's both. There's financial reward. There's at personal level you feel really good that you've been able to create a platform where people come. And Ali, I have to tell you, there are so many times people ask me what is Intellicap, who is Intellicap. They have completely not understood that Sankalp is actually an Intellicap platform. And then sometimes I worry about branding, but then I also think that it's great actually, that people don't think that we are everywhere. They are thinking of Sankalp as their platform, which is the biggest achievement that we do.
So you were just talking about making money, but impact investing, people it is also about scale of impact.
Absolutely.
The number of people you're affecting. But is your theory that you can't be sustainable unless you're profitable? Or what's your theory about impact investments? I hear so many different interpretations. I think it's good to just explain how you see it.
Our theory is, so I've always, this is one thing that we believe in this organization, is that impact is an outcome. It's not something that I can influence at the beginning. I can only influence this by the choices I make, by the businesses that I support. But I really don't know if that business is going to have a positive or negative impact. So impact is an outcome, it's not an input metric actually. And I think for any business to be impactful, first you must be sustainable and profitable, always. You lead with financial sustainability and impact later. You never do the other way around. Because you need to survive long enough to make an impact. So we always tell our people that make good choices. Be a conscientious entrepreneur, but be an entrepreneur actually. Entrepreneur is inherently about solving problems, about making money in the market. And that's the DNA we are looking for.
And what is the magic ingredient? You met all these hundreds of entrepreneurs. What would you say is the common theme? What are you looking for? If I'm one of the people in the audience and I've got a business and I want you to get involved, when you're looking in the eye of that entrepreneur, what are you looking for?
Fire in the belly. As cliche as it sounds, fire in the belly, it's passion. Because like I was telling Ali, your idea is going to pivot 10 times before you make it. but I want you to stay in the business, right? I need to be able to look in your eye and get that feeling that you will stick with this process because you are going to fail more than you will succeed, but you will stick with it. So it's always a character of the individual in front of you. And I was telling Ali that one of my favorite things is I always tell people that if I have an A team, the best team, they can make a lousy idea work. But I can have the best idea, a lousy team cannot make it work. So always go bet on people, right? People are the ones that are going to change this. Ideas a dime a dozen. It's all devil is in the execution. It's always in the details.
That's a really interesting thought, because I think, the number of people who come and say, I got an idea, and are fixated by that idea.
I seriously think ideas are, Richard Branson, I think, said this. Ideas are like a bus. One comes along every minute. That's not what you go for. You go for the individual. Is he going to make that idea happen? Are you going to connect with that idea and execute it for me? It doesn't matter what idea you have. I think that's something that entrepreneurs often maybe forget. They think that the next best idea is what you need to be chasing. What you need to be chasing is your execution skill, your skill to get in the game and make a difference, to understand market opportunity. That's what you should be focusing on.
Now, give us an example of sort of entrepreneurs that you've backed that have done really well, what businesses they were.
Wow, there's too many to mention, but I think, so we have been supporting entrepreneurs in impact space. It's mostly around the sectors of financial inclusion, water and sanitation, agriculture, and all the impact sectors.
But are all these the same things that Kenya and East Africa needs?
Oh,
right?
absolutely. I think emerging, like I was telling you, emerging markets are emerging markets. It's just your context is a little bit different, but doesn't mean that you don't have the problems that we have in India. Or, the LATAM doesn't have the problems that Kenya has. It's going to be same. Emerging market challenges are quite similar, actually. Surprisingly same, I found. And we have backed entrepreneurs that are, so, and again, I say similarity in ideas, right? The guy who won the contest yesterday,
Yes.
Recycler, we
Yes.
have supported a similar model in India. So we sort of, understand.
And I think you're supporting one in Indonesia.
In Indonesia, yes. So I think recycling, waste management, it's a problem everywhere. All emerging markets are dealing with it. So what's different? The difference is, your context, your size of market, how quickly you will scale, and what money you will make doing this. That's the only difference. There's no difference essentially in the problem that you're solving. So that's pretty much my theory. I think we make too much of an Indian coming to Kenya, Kenyans going to LATAM. I think we should forget about people are people, problems are problems.
That was an interesting answer you gave to me, because I was asking, are we different to people in India? And you said to me, no, we're all the same.
We are all the same. People are people everywhere. We have same aspirations. You want to live the same. I have not found any difference. You are only colored by your context. That's it. And I always tell people that if you want to really challenge your context, go live in another country for a few years. You will see that you become a different person when your context changes. That's the only thing. I think there is nothing else. People are people.
Nisha has a guru who's telling her to go and stay in Vietnam in a fishing village to get out of her context. And I thought it was very interesting.
Yeah, because he's on. And I have seen it firsthand, right? When I was living in the US, my context was very different. When I moved to India, it's my own country, and the context has changed for me, completely changed for me. Things that didn't matter to me now matter to me. I care about those things. So I think somewhere people should change their context. You need to get out of your comfort zones. You need to change countries or maybe take vacations for 5 weeks in a place that's absolutely and drastically different from where you live. You will see how your context changes. I think context change opens your mind like nothing else. We just get too comfortable looking at the same problems, same solutions, same people. It becomes redundant.
So now tell me, you've had 3 of these Sankalps.
Yes.
Each one has become bigger than the other. Now, what is the next step for you? What are you looking to do here? I mean, if I look back at what you've achieved in India, phenomenal achievement. Your investors are like all the global top investors in the world. They've all got tremendous faith in you. You've now expanded also into Indonesia, Bangladesh, Pakistan, I saw.
Yes.
What informed the decision to come here, firstly? And then what do you want to do now?
What informed that decision was, since we have been doing this for a decade in India, one of the things is, we say that we are in the service of other 3 billion. And, we want to serve emerging markets and low-income populations. I think that doesn't change. I mean, Kenya and East Africa has it, West Africa, LATAM. So we are going to take our ecosystem where the need is. It's not going to be restricted by India. So that was one thought process. And of course, East Africa has such close linkages with India. There's so much of diaspora that it just made logical. And it's a hotbed of entrepreneurship. We are always looking for those triggers.
Yes.
What is the hotbed? And that's where we go. For instance, Jakarta is really getting on that entrepreneurship now.
Yeah.
So it sort of made logical sense for us to go there. So that's the hotspot that we are looking for.
But what creates this hotbed? How does a hotbed happen? Does it just happen?
No, I think
is
there are triggers for it.
Yeah.
I think when people see successful businessmen, right? I mean, I think when people start seeing newer ideas, that's when hotbeds, it's sort of quite strange actually. We were talking about it just this morning that typically, as virtual as the world is, it's still very physical. If you look at the hotspots that are being created, they are quite geographically contained. Like for in India, it's Bangalore. In US,
That's
it's
a
the
hotbed,
Valley.
is it?
It's a hotbed.
Yes.
So I think a lot of ecosystem comes together in some places for some strange reason. Investors get there, the ideas get there, entrepreneurs come, ecosystem builders come. Everyone sort of congregates physically in a space. And that's what we have seen actually happen over and over. It happened in Bali, it happened in Bangalore, it's happening, we are seeing it happen here.
Yeah.
You see it happen in Jakarta. So you are seeing spots of it actually. It's quite an interesting trend. In an increasingly virtual world where we think we are all connected, for entrepreneurship to thrive, you still need physical infrastructure.
That's interesting, isn't it? Because
Yes.
I was at a dinner somewhere and I was watching, and nobody was connecting it. They were all on the phone, right? Everybody was like, and I was thinking to myself, how are we living now, right? There was a guy who was on Skype, and his wife was on the Skype, and through the whole dinner, they were having a virtual dinner together. He was eating, describing what he was eating. But you're saying that really the physical side matters.
It matters. It absolutely matters. I think there has to be crowding in of people.
Yeah.
It matters. It's not. Otherwise, ecosystems won't work. There's a famous statistic that the possibility, your probability of succeeding if you're in tech business is much higher if you're in Valley. If you go to Boston, your probability of success goes down.
How much does it go down by?
I remember it's. I think it's quite drastic. It's about 42% or something.
Yeah.
Your absolutely goes down. Why? Because when you're in an ecosystem, you have easy access to other peer entrepreneurs, ideas, investors. So you have a lot of support system, and you need it actually for entrepreneurship to thrive. So I do think there's some merit in creating that physical infrastructure.
And then you were telling me that, in India, for example, now you've got people who've made money in this sort of IT business. They've become investors in other ideas. And here, for example, what I found was that, we have an older generation who've got a lot of capital.
Right.
But for some of them, this is gobbledygook, right? A business with sort of 10,000 customers and no revenue is meaningless to them.
It's meaningless. I think.
So how does that bridge?
I think it's education, but you have to educate them. You have to slowly reel them in. That's a process that we have embarked on in East Africa. That's a process that we went through in India. But it's true, right? I mean, people who have made their money in brick and mortar businesses don't inherently understand technology businesses. Because the first question I've seen the older generation ask is, so how profitable are you? And there is, this young kid in tech business who's going to tell him about his gross transaction value, but he has no profitability. That's absolutely disconnected, right? Because older generation actually thought about being sustainable, about being profitable. Today, the entrepreneurs, the DNA is a little bit different. They want to experiment a lot more. They are chasing the top line, not necessarily bottom line. They are chasing valuations. The game has inherently changed. So it's very difficult for the older generation to wrap their head around, what's happening. But I think there is education needed. They start off by investing small sums, and once you start seeing the returns come, that's how you sort of start small, but you have to start somewhere.
And looking at East Africa now, you said that you see it as a potential hotbed. Describe this. What are you seeing? You've had 800 people come here. What are you seeing on the entrepreneurship side? What sort of flow of opportunities do you think are here?
I think there's tremendous amount of energy, first of all, right? I mean, the enthusiasm and energy. In fact, I haven't seen it in recent times, even in India, so it's unprecedented what we are seeing here. There are people who are willing to not take jobs actually, become entrepreneurs and try their
That's
luck
right.
before. I think it's tremendous actually. What is happening around you is it's amazing. This energy has to be tapped into, and we have seen flow of entrepreneurs with people coming up with very different ideas and a lot of Me Too ideas as well. But
Is Me Too bad? Because I mean,
No,
you
Me Too
can
is
bring
not
Me Too, right?
no, Me Too is not bad at all. I think not everybody has to be innovative. Not everybody, and in fact, I think even investors put a lot of money in Me Too businesses. For them, it's I call it the spray and pray strategy.
Hmm.
So they will invest.
Fluids.
They're going to invest in 10 food businesses and hope that there is one unicorn that will emerge. If 9 of them, sink, it's okay.
Yeah.
So it's a spray and pray for like investors, and a lot of entrepreneurs are guided by what investors are looking at. So obviously there are a lot of Me Too businesses. But I do think, Ali, that in emerging markets, 90% of the ideas are derivative.
From what we've seen.
What is already there?
Yeah.
Yes, it's derivative, and that's just the truth. Let's just face up the reality. 90% is derivative. It's only 10% where you find smarts.
So shouldn't a smart entrepreneur just run around the world, find out what's working in this time?
Absolutely, lift and shift. Change the context, lift and shift. It works.
Yeah.
There are some ideas like Facebook is Facebook. It doesn't matter where you are, where you are, but there are local models you will see of Uber emerging.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah, it's lift and shift. I mean, they are not doing anything, and you don't have to. You just have to make. Sometimes I've seen ideas are just incrementally better, but they do tremendously well. You just need to understand the context in which you are implementing an idea. So you can't lift and shift entirely, but if you can contextualize it, it works. And I don't see anything wrong with it.
Yeah. Can I take some questions? Has anyone got any questions? Any questions? Have we got a mic somewhere? Somebody in the back. Will you introduce yourself?
Oh, yes, all right. My name.
Just wait. Oh, you want to go first?
Yes.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chakwani from Change Agents, Human Capital for SMEs and Startups. So my question is in line to what you've just talked about, lift and shift. So basically, nobody, as you said, a lot of people are not coming up with innovation, as we can see with venture builders. Do you think there should be checks and balances to ensure that the lift and shift is not actually killing the indigenous entrepreneur? Like where there is, I'm not saying completely shut them out, but where there is a level playing field for also the local entrepreneur to participate equally, so that they just don't get wiped out and we have only one contender across all markets.
Are you thinking of Uber?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Hi. My name is Viraj Shah. Well, I'm involved in the tech business. The question is, don't you think Kenya is actually ready for that IT changeover? Compared to like India's revolutionized the IT industry, why can't Kenya do that? Mr. Ali Khan, you're involved in the stock exchange business, right? In the UK, I can trade stocks online. Why can't we do that in Kenya? I can do it at home whenever I want to buy a stock or sell a stock. I can do it in my bed.
They want to get there, but at the moment, why you can't do it is because of the settlement cycle. It's a number of days, so you can't flip your shares until it is settled.
Okay, yes. Okay, now another context. Like in India, I think it was in 2012, there was a very messed up case in Delhi where this other girl got raped. Now India has actually moved to develop apps where women can be more secure.
Right.
Right?
Yes, that's correct. There are quite a few apps.
There's about 10 to 12 apps.
Yes.
In Kenya, the security level is ridiculously high. Why can't we make a security model where over the phone, I mean everything is smartphone now. Everyone's got a smartphone. Well, okay, I'll say 40% of the Kenyan population actually owns a smartphone. Why can't we look at apps that actually change lives in that context? This whole conference we have looked at agribusiness, sanitation, well, impact investment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't we look at security? Security is one of the biggest concerns, not just in Kenya, but all over the world. What you said actually, the ideas are there. But if you cannot execute that idea to work for that specific market, it's not going to work. But there are so many investors here I met in the past 2 days. Nobody is looking in that area. security. What would you say that is?
Okay. Is there a herd? I think the question is, in a way, is there a herding that people that everyone rushes
Oh,
to,
of course.
like, oh, this is what we've got to look at because this is what everyone else is looking
Of
at?
course, investors have a herd mentality. It's very, very well known. I say, I almost say that investors hunt in packs. So nobody wants to take the risk. But I do think that if you are seeing this opportunity, if you are seeing that there is this need in the market, shouldn't shouldn't a local entrepreneur actually respond to that, come up with an idea and put it in front of investors? Because if you are expecting investor to come and tell you that I think you should be developing a security app, it's unlikely to happen, right? You have to put the idea in front of investors. Investors hardly ever do that feedback loop. So I'm guessing that in India, yes, it was a huge trigger for us because we had a lot of social unrest after that rape incident, which was quite infamous. And in response to that, a lot of people started responding to that women's safety issue. Maybe not every country, like I always say, machine learning it's called transferred learning. If you're not going to take transferred learning and bring it to other continents, then there's no point, right? You should not have to go through what we went through as in a social unrest situation. I think if you are seeing the need for it, then somebody should respond to it. See, investor interest comes when you create viable ideas and address a real market need. If you think this is a real market need, then there are so many entrepreneurs in the room, I would actually encourage you to take it up. Actually, I see so many women here. That would be a great idea. And you don't even have to do it yourself. It has been tried in India. You can lift and shift. You can contextualize it and see if you can do. Why not?
I think that would work with that. And the question about Uber, here, do you know the background of the story that they come in, they're probably the biggest taxi company already,
Right.
and there's been a reaction from non-Uber taxi drivers, there's been a
Oh, that's been the case in India as well.
You had that, and then I think the guest was saying, should we be protecting people, or I mean, is digital just so disruptive? It makes no sense to get in the way of a steel train.
Actually, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I think that it's an open market now. You cannot be protectionist anymore. What you can do is you can get your game up. You have to raise the bar. You have to get your game up. You can't say that there is Uber, they have deep pockets, they have a lot of money, they shouldn't come into my economy. What you have to do is compete better. You have to do better. You are not going to be able to stop this. This is a tidal wave that's coming towards all emerging economies. The only way to respond to it is you know the context better, you do better. That's the only way. And we locally create ecosystems that support. You get the capital, like I was saying yesterday, I was alluding to it, that Africa capital for African markets. You have to make sure that there is capital available to support entrepreneurs like yourselves. But you are not going to be able to stop the global tidal wave. I mean, unfortunately, that's just the reality that we are living in. I think the sooner we accept it, the better off we all are.
So we got to get our surfboards and surf your wave. And
Yes.
Not try and fight it.
Don't fight it. This is the losing battle. You are not going to win this battle. You're only going to win by being better, by doing better, by making sure you have the capital. That's it. You have to raise the bar now. I think emerging markets, that's my message to entrepreneurs, right? You have to raise the bar. You have to get up there.
Anisha, let me ask you, you were saying you have to get the capital. Now, if you look around, how many capital providers are there currently, I don't know, I'm asking you, at this sort of level? Because I don't think we're talking big tickets, are we?
Yeah, no.
Really, like I need venture capital, oh, we only want to invest $10 million minimum, right? So you've got a lot of these big boys, they're looking at up there. But down here, how many people are sort of 10, I think your people said we can do $200 to 20 million.
20 million, yes.
Right? How many people are in that $200 to, let's say, $30,000, $40,000 level, which is the startup capital? Somebody might want to do a security app,
My view is that the money is there. It's not that people don't have money. Are they making it available? That's a different question altogether.
Are they making it available?
Not as much as they should, not nearly enough. And that's one of the reasons why we do this forum. We really want to raise the awareness around this issue. Because again, I keep coming back to that point. It's not that people don't have money, it's mental poverty. You have to deal with it. You have to educate them. You have to get them out of that mindset where they think that they are going to lose money if they bet on entrepreneurs. It's a very different. When you have made the money your hard way, it's very difficult to part with it. Even $10,000. You just have to educate them. You just have to get them there. But I disagree. I think money is there. They just don't want to make it available. And that's a shift we are looking for. That's absolute. And I tell you, in 2 years from now, if I come back and we say that we have closed even 20 deals that were closed absolutely with African capital, domestic capital, I'll die a happy woman. That's what we need to do.
Any more questions? Yes, can we take one from the lady here?
Good evening. My name is Rebecca, and I've started a company in customer experience. So I'm just curious as to your thoughts on how entrepreneurs can prioritize customer experience. Maybe also your thoughts on why they're not prioritizing customer experience, because in my personal opinion, it makes a lot of financial sense. Because as you were saying a few minutes ago, organizations should up their game. And I believe customer experience is what helps you up your game, but why don't entrepreneurs prioritize it?
Shall we take one more question as well?
Yes.
I think, and if I'm missing you, please wave high. Oh, okay. I see I'm missing over there, and I'm missing. Okay.
Good evening. I'm Marek Gongomde, and I do communication and advocacy. I've been here for the past 2 days and speaking to many entrepreneurs. A common problem I've found is that there's a gap in skill set between what's currently locally available and what is needed for social enterprise, which is what many people are investing in. Now that is a common problem, and I've heard it time and time again, but what is the role of social enterprises and organizations in closing that gap? Because if you're working with local capital, local human capital, universities can't meet that need, at least not immediately. So apart from it being a problem and talking about it, what role can they play in filling this gap?
Should we take those two as well?
Sure.
Yes. The first one was customer relationship,
Customer experience. You have a very valid point. It's true that customer experience is so important. Why don't entrepreneurs pay attention to it? I really don't know, but I can tell you that it's probably the reason is because I feel entrepreneurs have so much fight in their life, right? They're fighting to get the prototype out. They're fighting to get the MVP. They're fighting to run pilots. I think somewhere they lose sight of the fact, or they're chasing money. Maybe somewhere they lose the sight of the fact that customer is the king at the end of the day. He's the one who's going to give you money. So you are right on money when you say that. And maybe this is a message that we should give to entrepreneurs, at least in our communication. But I really don't have an answer as to why they don't pay attention to it. So if you are out there in the crowd, please do pay attention to this. She raised a very valid point.
That's an opportunity for you, right?
Yeah.
If all these companies are not paying attention and you'll be the expert.
Good luck with that. It's an excellent idea. Everything is a challenge.
And then the question.
And I think your question was around,
Meeting lots of entrepreneurs.
the talent gap. The talent gap happened, so I can speak from my experience in India at least. The talent gap is, or at least we saw a lot of it a decade ago. One of the ways that, so one is that you're going to catalyze it internally. You are going to invest a lot more in education infrastructure and vocational training institutes and sort of skills the population that's there in that sphere. But another trend that we saw in India was the moment this sector succeeds, there's crowding in of talent. Actually, there is diaspora actually wants to come back. I have seen so much of it. I went back to India, and I've seen that wave, and I've so
there's a wave coming.
There's a wave coming back, and I think they bring the mainstream talent, and they're going to bring it back with them. So you have to do both ways actually. Whenever people start seeing opportunities, they want to come back and start seeing contributing to it. Frankly, if you think about it, right? I mean, Indians who go to US or go to UK, or I'm sure Kenyans, this is the same case. What are they doing really with their time? They're doing jobs. They're in IT sector. Do they have a cushy life? Yes, but is that a lot of what a lot of people want to do? I thought no. So if you can create opportunity and shine the light on it, I've seen people want to come back, take a punt, want to experiment, want to bring money, skill set. So you have to make it happen both ways. So show success stories, create opportunities, people will come back. And I'm sure you are starting to see the beginning of that. We have seen it happen tremendously in the last decade. It's a process. It takes a little bit of time.
I think there was a question, and then I'll come there. Oh, yes.
Okay, so my name is Peter Acharo from the Western Agribusiness Investment Symposium. And thank you very much to Sankalp. This is a great MBA class. I always look forward to coming to Sankalp. But importantly, we're talking about skills gap, we're talking about East Africa being a hotbed of entrepreneurs. But I think the focus slightly, when people talk about that, is they look at what's going on, particularly in the tech innovation sector, where you've got a lot of these startups that are innovating around technology, particularly mobile platforms. And but there's a challenge. Yesterday, for instance, if we looked at the companies that were presented here, the 13 companies, you see a strong bias or with companies that are owned by non-indigenous Kenyans or East Africans for that matter, that were presented here that are doing more or less more of the real solid businesses with good business models that have done a lot of thinking and a lot of putting together a strong business case, that can attract investment, Yeah, which is very different from what you find here. You're finding a lot of younger people who are moving more around mobile applications, as opposed to finding people who can actually innovate around solutions and distribution, on the retail markets and segments, So unless we start attracting real solid entrepreneurs who have impressive CVs probably, in terms of experience, that can then make a case that the investors can be happy about, because it's only ideas. This is about the people behind some of these. But I'll move to my second point, where we're finding a lot of these sort of like platforms where people come and congregate and share ideas. But the focus largely is on Ngong Road in Nairobi, where you've got iHub and Nairobi Garage, and more or less we're preaching to the same choir. Today we're here. I can bet you if you call another meeting tomorrow, it's going to be likely the same kind of faces. So when are we going to begin also to democratize and to decentralize this sort of platform so that we can actually be able to reach out? Kenya, for instance, has 47 counties. So a lot of this, the focus is on one county. So how much innovation can you find around Nairobi before we start also working around a hard mentality, seeing one success company and we're saying, hey, that looks like what is hot now, maybe we all need to copy that. But there's so much else that we can be able to find if we begin to go out. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll take one more question. I think there was somebody was waving. Yes, just here. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Peter Mugendi from Farm Concern International. This is a wonderful forum, and your story, Misha, is very inspiring. Thank you very much. I just had one question, which is also sort of a comment. The nature of social entrepreneurship, a lot of time is to meet a gap in the society. And most of the times, it's a result of a public good that's not being provided, which traditionally is actually provided by government. That's why we do not have a thriving social entrepreneurship in Europe and in the US. This is an Africa emerging market affair. So my question is, what extent do you consider this to be like the new development paradigm for Africa and emerging economies, social entrepreneurship that is? When we have such a forum like this, we didn't have much of government representation. And yet I think there's a very key role that through strengthened institutions and awareness creation of some governments of Africa and elsewhere, it can perhaps provide greater support, both structurally and also from a policy perspective, to address some of these gaps more effectively than a social entrepreneur could ever do. Thank you.
Interesting points, yes.
I think I'll take your question first. So if I understand it correctly, you think that there's too much of innovation around mobile and tech platform and not enough, nearly enough in others. Actually, from my perspective, at least from my experience, it's not necessarily bad. The reason is because that's where I've seen, if you think about India, right, everything was around IT for the longest time. What you need is seeds of people making it, being successful as entrepreneurs. It doesn't matter what sector they are in. That's when the organic wave starts. Let them start in some sector, it's okay. You will see a lot of, so just like we say patient, patient capital, right? Investors have to be patient. I think we have to be patient as well with the process. It's not going to, you can't force people into opportunities. Let them succeed. Once you start seeing success stories, there's crowding in. You will start seeing that people will go into, peripheral areas, newer ideas. It's an organic process. It's not something that you can force. You can definitely create awareness, but I would say that it's not a bad thing that people succeed. It's very important to show success stories, tremendous success stories, because these are the guys who will become your investors, your angel investors, right? So it's very important. I think sometimes even we used to complain a lot that all the stuff in India, all the progress is around technology sector. It's not bad. It's actually had a, we call it the pull-through lever, right? I mean, it's been huge for us. For every, for every software engineer job that was created in India, there were in turn 5 jobs created by that software engineer in terms of driver, cook, maid. A lot of jobs were created.
Five times.
Yes, 5 times. So I wouldn't say that it's a bad thing. Let it happen. It's organic. This is an organic. Entrepreneurship is an organic process. We can enable it, we can support it, we can accelerate it, but it's organic. And the only way to grow it is to show success stories. That's the only thing, actually. It doesn't matter which sector it comes from. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. But I would start worrying if it still doesn't happen in 2-3 years. But I think given time, it will happen. And platforms like ours are exactly to promote those ideas. So right now, like in India, we have strong filtration process in terms of what kind of enterprises will source. Here we have lower filters because we just want to make sure that we are picking people that we can showcase, that you can see success stories. So it's it's given time is all I will say. And
Social entrepreneurship, new paradigm of development.
This, I can only say that I don't know if it's new paradigm of development. I can say that it's definitely new term. Because to me, if I think of one invention or if I had to talk about one innovation that sort of had the most impact on mankind, at least
What is that?
Mobile phones.
Yeah.
Airtel. Right, in India, Airtel is the biggest mobile phone provider. It connected. Does Airtel say that it's a social enterprise company? No, it's not. It's mainstream. So I think it's only that now we have started defining these things. But these things have been in our environment for a long time. Actually, mobile phone is the biggest one, I would call it. That is what really gave a fillip to the whole. Today you are able to reach farmers, you are able to reach healthcare workers. What is the platform there? It's mobile. That is what gave it the fillip. So I think the definition, let's not get stuck in definitions actually. It doesn't matter. You have to solve a problem, you have to be successful and reach people and basically move the needle. That's all should matter. I think social enterprise, impact investment, impact enterprises, it's a lot of jargon. At the end of the day, you have to meet an unserved need. That's it. Now we can call it whatever we want, but I think that's essentially what it is.
I'll take one more question, then I've got a couple of questions. Yes. Second row down here, and then up there. Sorry, I missed you. So we'll take 2 more. There's one up there, both ladies, and one here. That's a good gender balance.
Yes. Gee, Telecat has a lot of gender.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Oh yes.
Oh my goodness.
Women nominated now.
Yeah, I realized that.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Esther Kadaga. I recently graduated from University of Nairobi. Thank you very much for this meeting. It's always a pleasure coming to Ali Khan's sessions. I've been here for a while. Since I was in school and now I'm done, I'm always inspired. So now my question is, I just graduated from school and we get to hear all this. It's like a theory, like you need to start your business, this and this, you need to do this, you need to do this. How do you inspire young people like me? Like, how do you tell me, instead of sitting down and writing 1,000 CVs and sending every application every day you're told like you have to send like 2 applications and some of them don't get even responses back. I mean, what do you give me, like, how can you just sit me down and give me a real life experience, like tell me, like in a logical sense, apart from saying, I started this in 1972 and we get all that every time. Mm-hmm. And you're thinking, oh my God, that is when he started? You can, I'm thinking of what, let's start now. It looks like it's too late. But as young people, we need that story, like that's real story, like it sounds like now, you can do it, you can start now, you can do this, you can start small. Because sometimes we actually think of doing a business, basically because you've seen a friend of yours try it out, or because you've tried to do so many applications and none is turning out. So the part you're saying about the individual is actually true. Because sometimes we find ourselves landing ourselves in businesses. It's not like you wanted to do the business, it's just you don't have any other way out. Yeah, so you just like putting yourself into the business because there's nothing else that came out of it. And because you stayed home for like 6 months and you're like, I can't do this anymore. So I want to put myself in business just like my friend is doing, so let me see how it works for me. Then in 3 months' time or 2 months' time, the business what you're looking for is the finance part of it. You're like, I need the money, and probably we know how business are. There are the losses and the profit side. And before it picks up, it takes time. So I mean, I don't know how. My question is, how do you inspire people? Thank you.
It's a very tough one, actually. The toughest one.
She wants you to tell her not to send the CVs and get on with what she wants to really do.
And the toughest question comes from a woman. I'm not surprised. So, I don't know, how do you inspire? I think this is, so for us, if I can show you how other people have succeeded, this is a platform that we have created exactly for that, to show you success stories, to show you people in your own age group that have been able to make it work. I think that's the best that we can do at this point. But I think more importantly, not everyone can be an entrepreneur. Actually, I truly believe that people are not created equal. Sometimes, there is a different DNA of an entrepreneur. Not everybody needs to be one. But once you get into the game, I feel that entrepreneurship teaches you or pushes your limit. You will learn more in 1 year than you will learn in a job in 5 years. You will get forced into situations where you will learn. And my message to young people really is that you are at a stage in your life that you can try and fail 10 times and still go back to a job.
That's a good point, right?
If you're 55, you're probably thinking how am I going to retire rich, but you're not in that age group. So what's stopping you? What's holding you back? Let's say you fail, so what? Go get a job after that. I always tell people, what is stopping you at this age? This is the age actually to take risks, right? Because you don't have, the younger you are, the fewer financial entanglements you have. You don't have a home mortgage, you don't have hopefully education loan, you don't have a lot of entanglements that happen as you move towards middle age group and as you get older. So I can't imagine what would stop you actually. It's okay, if you succeed, it's amazing, right? You're a success story for other people. If you fail, so what? Go do a job. You were going to do it anyways. You are just delaying your job search by another 5 years. So what? You would have learned something in the process. You would have gained skills that are, you wouldn't gain in a job. So I have never really understood. I think it's a mindset issue. You are right. It's mind. It's in your head. I always feel that you start losing battles in your head long before you lose it on the ground. I always feel people lose everything. You are a loser in your mind long before you are a loser when you get to the ground. Don't let that happen. You have to keep the spirit up.
How do you train your mind to be a winner?
Oh, that's a tough one. Wow. How do you train your mind? That's a good question, actually. I think it's somewhere to do with the DNA of the individual also, the context that you are raised in, the family. It has some role to play. I wouldn't say it's entirely irrelevant. But a winner's mind is just not to give up, right? I wouldn't say that you should never give up. I'm not in that category of people because I do think that you should know when to walk and you should know when to fight. Fight and flight. You should know what those limits are. But definitely not give up soon, I don't know really, I don't have a good answer. That's tough at this point. Because how do you train?
No, but I just get back to the series. Minute was said very.
You should tell me.
I don't know. I've given a lot of thought to that, and I think that you can, in a way, train yourself.
You can. You can surround yourself. I feel that one of the best ways is surround yourself with positive people. People who don't bring you down. Actually, it's really important. Surround yourself with people who give you pep talks and people who are positive. Generally, it's so important to be around positive people. There is so much negativity otherwise. You are already fighting, battles which are uphill. You really don't need another individual to tell you that you must make it. You want more and more people around you who push you. I think that's one of the ways, at least I have found, that surround yourself with people who are positive and optimistic.
And my mom always said, visualize
Visualize success,
Visualizing
yes.
success, right? So you're not visualizing failure, you're visualizing success.
That's a big trick, like, it's an interview trick. I hope you guys know, right? I mean, before going to interview, you should already visualize getting a job. It is true. I mean, and somewhere they say, right, the energy works for you. You will get back what you put in. I always say input equals output. You never get disproportionately higher output than what you put in. Put in your positive energy, it will come. But more importantly, surround yourself with good people. I think that's one thing.
That was your 18th theory.
18th, yes.
Yeah, that's a good theory. I think there's one more question I've got to take where, yes, right there.
Hello, I'm Crystal Still. Actually, I have a small scale business known as Chocolate Cake, and I normally get people who want to help me in my business or be partners. But the thing is, I'm really young. I finished high school last year, and I don't know how to distinguish between people who are actually honest or who want to take advantage of me because I really don't have that experience. And my second question is, I was thinking about going large scale, but the process, is it a rush decision at my age, or should I wait and interact with more people, or, yeah, that's it.
Follow your heart, follow your gut. There's no age to be successful. There is no age to scale businesses. There is no age.
How old was Zuckerberg when he floated his Facebook? He was still in his 20s.
He was in his 20s. No, there's no age. I mean, I think those paradigms we really have to get rid of. That's the baggage. Unfortunately, I feel that Asian and India and Africa, right, we have so much baggage.
What kind of baggage do we have?
We are old civilizations. We have so much, baggage. We have been around for 2,000 years. Look at countries like US. They have, shorter histories. They have less baggage. We carry so much baggage in our head all the time. Am I young enough? Am I at the age where I should be getting settled? Should I be getting married? Should I be having kids? Everything is a framework. Why? Lose the baggage. So much baggage that we carry.
Wow. A round of applause in Nairobi is called makofi. Can we give makofi? Lots of things. I'm going to eat my baggage.
Yes.
What else am I going to do, Nisha? I'm visualizing. Paradigm shifting. Fantastic.
Let's not using jargons.
No.
Let's not say that we are
jargon as well.
Yes, just use the jargon as well. You're not impact enterprise, you're not social enterprise, you're an entrepreneur.
So I'd like to not really thank Nisha, but thank the entire team. And they're all around here. We have head of investment banking. And if you have an opportunity, you want to stay around, use this moment to make your serendipity. Because if you've got a great idea or whatever you have, find the people. Because that's what Mindspeak is all about. It's about personal contact, making it happen. So if you need something to happen, please bear in mind everybody's in this room. Then I'd like to thank you all for the opportunity to participate. I'd like to congratulate you on what you've achieved in this short period of time. And I'd like to say we welcome your effort. And I sincerely believe that 12 months, 24 months down the road, we're going to be pulling up somebody here and saying, look at what they've achieved. And you will have been a part of that. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. This is
Pleasure.
from us.